Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Amit Harari, and coming up in today's newscast. While the coalition is submitting the first part of the judicial overhaul for a first reading, tens of thousands are out protesting again, and they're not planning to stop. Meantime, international nuclear inspectors detecting Iranian uranium enriched to levels required for the production of an atomic bomb. And ILTV sits down with key figures discussing the future of metaverse and technology. It's a dramatic day in the Knesset as the coalition is preparing to submit the first part of the judicial overhaul for a first reading. Tens of thousands of protesters are outside the Knesset and other locations around the country. The protesters have declared a national day of struggle as coalition lawmakers push the legislation through its first major Knesset hurdle. ILTV's Steve Leibovitz reports.
The mass protests and the submission of the first part of the government's proposed judicial overhaul have been the focus of the nation's attention. The legislation submitted today for first reading would give the ruling coalition control of the Judicial Appointments Committee, which picks new Supreme Court justices. If the bill passes as expected, it will move back to the committee for possible amendments before two final Knesset votes at a later date. Speaking last night to American Jewish leaders, Prime Minister Netanyahu did not address the elephant in the room directly, but he did seem to reject yesterday's comment by U.S. Ambassador Tom Knights, calling for Israel to slow down and pump the brakes on the issue.
First, Israel is a democracy and will remain a democracy with majority rule and proper safeguards for civil liberties. That's the first thing. The second thing, you can clap, that's good. Second thing is all democracies should respect the will of other free peoples, just as we respect their democratic decisions.
Finance Minister Smotrich went further, saying this.
הקפדנו תמיד שלא להתערב בעניינים הפנימיים של ארצות הברית, ולכן אני מצפה מארצות הברית לא להתערב בעניינים הפנימיים שלנו.
There have been nearly 2 months of angry wrangling between supporters and opponents of government plans to alter the country's judicial system. Angry protests are expected to continue in many locations around the country as the issue comes to a vote. In preparation, police set up extra barricades to protect the Knesset building. Hundreds of extra police were also deployed. President Isaac Herzog continues his efforts to broker talks on the issue. Yesterday, after talks with several officials involved, Herzog said he believed a compromise deal on the judicial overhaul could be clinched within days. But the coalition and opposition are still holding back from entering negotiations. Each accuses the other of being unwilling to compromise.
And joining us now is ILTV's Jerusalem correspondent, Steve Leibovitz, who as always is following all the latest developments in this new day of tense protests closely. Steve, another dramatic day at the Knesset?
Dramatic and angry. Angrier and angrier protesters arriving by the tens of thousands. We saw some ugly scenes at the entrance to Tel Aviv already with blocking of roads. There were Knesset members barricaded into their houses by protesters. And it's going to continue. It's going to continue through the day, through the evening. I just don't know how it's going to end. My hope is that it's going to end without violence. There are extra police that have been deployed. I don't think we're going to have a January 6th moment like they had in the United States. But the demonstrators, the protesters seem to be getting more and more adamant and desperate.
And what's the coalition saying? I mean, any comments coming from there? Because it seems they're just continuing to do whatever they plan to do.
The first part of the judicial reform will come to a Knesset vote today. It's expected to pass. It's expected to be one of the most raucous and possibly loud, I hope not violent, Knesset sessions. Anyone who wants to turn into some good reality TV, tune into the Knesset channel. It'll be going on through the night, probably, or it could be. And I don't see this ending quietly this evening at all in the Knesset. They will pass the law. It will then go back to committee. It'll have 2 more readings. So there will be a pause built in automatically after this first reading.
So there's still a long way to go, do you think?
Long way to go. And there's a lot more parts of this judicial reform that still won't even have gone to their first reading.
Now, President Herzog has been meeting with people on both sides of the issue. Are there any signs of progress?
Well, there are signs of a lot of talk. Herzog says we can reach a deal in 3 days, but we don't seem any closer. The opposition had said, let's hold this for 45 days and not pass the first reading. Well, as of tonight, the first reading will have passed. So we'll be in a totally different place. What's Herzog going to do next? I don't know. There are some commentators on Israeli television talking about the possibility that he would resign rather than sign this bill.
And now what happens tomorrow? What's planned?
Tomorrow, the protesters will continue protesting and the government will continue its thing. But the interesting thing is, what is Prime Minister Netanyahu going to say? He's due to speak very soon to the Likud caucus in the Knesset. So far, all he said today was one word. When asked about what's going on, he said democracy. Is he going to make a call to step back and take some time and try to work out an agreement between the opposition and coalition? Doesn't look like it right now, but Netanyahu has surprised people in the past, so let's see.
And do you remember anything this big in size in recent years? And if so, how did it turn out? Because this one seems, I don't really recall something this big in recent years, so it's...
No, I don't remember anything this size, although during the war in '82, it was tremendously large, and disengagement, of course, there were a lot of protests from the right. But what somebody mentioned to me, and this is before I got here, after the Yom Kippur War in '73, I arrived just a few months after that, but in that immediate period, there were tremendously strong protests to bring down the government of Golda Meir. Those protests actually succeeded in bringing down the government. It's a different political situation now. I don't think these protests can break this coalition. It's a different kind of a motivation. But that's the only thing that has been mentioned to me as something similar.
Steve, we're counting on you to keep on following everything. Thank you so much for joining us. The UN Security Council has dropped plans to consider a resolution condemning the Israeli settlement policy. The Biden administration managed to broker an agreement with the Palestinian Authority to settle for a non-binding statement, according to reports out of Washington and Jerusalem, in exchange for the PA's decision. Israel agreed to a number of concessions, and ILTV's William Sharon has the story.
The Security Council today is expected to pass a non-binding resolution condemning Israeli settlement policy, while also condemning terror attacks and violence inflicted on both sides. This would be the first such statement on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in 9 years. The decision to pull back from the binding resolution saved the U.S. from having to decide whether or not to cast a veto. According to reports from Jerusalem and Washington, Israel agreed to temporary halt in new settlement activity and agreed to delay plans to demolish illegal Arab homes in eastern Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria. Those homes are due to be approved later this week by Defense Ministry, which has the authority for building in Judea and Samaria. Some Israeli officials are insisting that Israel did not agree to the freeze. Israel reportedly agreed to hold off on demolishing illegal built Arab homes in eastern Jerusalem and the territories for several months. According to reports, Israel also agreed to reduce military incursions into PA-controlled Area A during that time.
As part of the agreement with Washington, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas reportedly agreed to adapt a U.S. plan to boost the PA's security presence in northern Samaria, where the IDF has to operate, sparking deadly clashes with Palestinians over the past several months.
Concerning new report by Bloomberg speaking about a new discovery made by the UN Atomic Agency last week, reporting Iran is now closer than ever to an atomic bomb.
איראן מנסה לפגוע בלי הרף במדינת ישראל ובאזרחיה באשר הם במקומות שונים בעולם. ההתקפות של איראן לא ירפו את ידינו. לא נאפשר לאיראן להשיג נשק גרעיני ולא נאפשר לה להתבסס בגבולנו הצפוני. אנחנו עושים הכל ונעשה הכל כדי להגן על אזרחינו ואנחנו מגיבים בעוצמה על ההתקפות נגדנו.
This is how Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu opened Sunday's cabinet meeting, just before two senior diplomats reporting Sunday evening that the International Atomic Agency recognizing last week that Iran had enriched uranium to a rate of 84%, only 6% less than the level needed to develop a nuclear weapon. The diplomats emphasizing that Iran's unrestrained activity on the atomic issue could create a huge crisis. According to the report, Iran previously stated that its centrifuges being designed to enrich uranium to a purity level of 60% only. Negotiations on Tehran's contested nuclear policy with the West aimed at reviving a 2015 accord have been in doldrums for several months, as it appears that Washington is accepting the diplomatic talks with the Islamic Republic have reached a dead end. Earlier today, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Tom Nides stating that the U.S. is acting as a loyal partner in cooperation with Israel on the issue of Iran. All options are on the table, with Israel having America's full backing. Nides continued assuring that the Iranian nuclear is dangerous for Israel, the Middle East, and the USA, and as the Iranians are supplying drones to Russia, drones killing innocent Ukrainians, there's no chance the US will return to the negotiating table with the Islamic Republic.
אני שמח לאכזב את אויבינו וגם להרגיע את ידידינו. ישראל הייתה ותישאר דמוקרטיה חזקה ותוססת, דמוקרטיה עצמאית.
Iran, in the meantime, is denying the accusations, with a state spokesman saying that until now there has been no uranium enrichment at a level of more than 60%, clarifying that the existence of uranium particles above 60% in the enrichment process does not, in any case, mean that there is another enrichment above 60%. And with us now to speak more about Bloomberg's concerning new report is expert on Iran at the JISS, Alex Grinberg. Alex, if these reports are true, how close is Iran to really having an atomic bomb?
Hi, I would say that Iran is not getting closer to having a bomb because the enrichment is only a first stage. It is indispensable for preparing ground for acquiring nukes, but still to build an A-bomb, you need some other stages, such as preparing an explosive device suitable for a nuclear warhead. It's not a conventional military warhead that you can just put on a nuclear missile. And the third thing, a country desiring to acquire nuclear weapons must conduct a nuclear test. And all these stages, and there is also a third stage to improve the precision of missiles. The Iranian missiles are rather precise. Still, they're not sufficient for a nuclear strike. And all these three stages to pass, Iran needs much more time. So it is dangerous. Iran is cheating. Their nuclear program is military, without any doubt. However, there is a long way before Iran acquires a real nuclear military capacity.
So you're saying we shouldn't be nervous yet, but now gaining the bomb and being able to deliver it are two different things. Will they have the ability to reach Israel and even the US, do you think?
No, I don't have Iran will ever have the ability to reach the US, and Iran, of course, does not intend to threaten America with its nuclear bomb, because the goal of the Iranian regime in acquiring the nukes is achieving invulnerability. This is the goal. However, for Israel, it runs unsustainable risk, because if Iran is armed with nuclear weapons, then Hezbollah, that always remains under Iran's control, can dare more. It is not because Khamenei will get up early tomorrow morning and will decide to nuke Israel. It's not. It's a very cartooned presentation of the Iranian nuclear threat, which is not true. The truth is that nuclear weapons, since its inception in the invention 8 years ago have always served as a geopolitical power force multiplier. This is the goal. And with such power, Iran will be unsustainable for Israel, that the state of Israel will never take such a risk.
Now, Alex, Prime Minister Netanyahu is deeply committed to preventing a nuclear Iran. Now that Iran is reaching that sort of like red line, what's the next move? You're saying we shouldn't be nervous right now, but really what's the next move we should expect?
We just should, I don't think that you or me should expect or get nervous. We should trust our army, security and intelligence communities who know to do the job. And the only thing that I would like to add is we should not trust the U.S., that the U.S., this or another administration, will do our job for us, because yes, Iran is an existential risk, but for Israel and its Arab allies, not for America.
Now, Iran has reportedly built underground bunkers and will receive new Russian planes. Iran provides Russia with deadly drones. How important is this growing interdependence between Tehran and Moscow now?
I don't think it is very important, because all this Russia-Iran alliance is overblown. First, Iran does not supply drones to the Russians. It supplies loitering munition, which is, roughly speaking, a primitive cruise missile, but it is not a drone. Second, yes, in principle, the Russians could deliver more weapons to Iran, but everything that I mention in the Russian context, they may. It still has not happened. Even if Iran receives 15 or a dozen or even 20 modern Russian warplanes, it is not a game changer in a potential conflict between Iranian Air Force and Israeli Air Force.
Alex Grimber, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
On to something else now. Innovation on the Bar, an interesting series of events by the Israel Innovation Authority, brings Israel leading entrepreneurs and innovators to local bars to provide their insights into Israel's thriving startup ecosystem. And this time, ILTV sits down with CEO of the Israel Innovation Authority, Dror Bin, and General Manager of Facebook Israel, Adi Sofer Te'eni, to discuss the future of metaverse and technology.
It was a packed house at the Israel Innovation Authority event, Innovation on the Bar, which brings together the country's leading tech experts to discuss the hottest topics in the Israeli innovation ecosystem. Tonight's event featured none other than Adi Sofer Te'eni, the head of Meta Israel, who sat down to talk about the future of the metaverse.
So let's start, if you could maybe tell us, what exactly is the metaverse?
In short, the metaverse is the next phase of the internet. I think that's the best way to summarize it. And if you think about the internet, it actually had three phases. The first phase was the desktop, the home computer, and the internet was connected via the wall through physical cable. The second phase was the mobile, and it changed our life. And suddenly it was 24/7. It moved from text to visual to video to real time. If we think about the metaverse, it's basically how the internet would look like 10 years from now.
According to Sofer Te'eni, this shift will include two main facets.
I think one thing needs to be very clear is that it's no longer going to be using mobile phones. It's going to be evolved. And it's going to be evolved in two dimensions. The first one is the physical device. So from this fat, big computer to the mobile phone to actually wearable devices.
And the Israel Innovation Authority is working hard in collaboration with government and business to make this dream a reality. From investing in high-risk ventures to facilitating and influencing regulators and government agencies to remove barriers from Israeli high-tech.
The metaverse is literally a new universe. It has to be created. And in order to create a new universe, you need many building blocks. And I believe that the Israeli high-tech has those building blocks here.
In the very near future, we will be able to access the internet via smart devices such as glasses to have a truly interactive experience.
The 3D is going to change dramatically how we are actually going to consume content. So think about 3D in a way that is actually interacting with the real world that is all around you.
If metaverse is successful, it will disrupt almost anything that we know today. You can think about medicine, you can think about education, you can think about commerce. You can go to virtual shops and try on things and buy them. So basically, almost any human transaction that today we do in the real world, we will be able to do also in the virtual world.
Whatever the future holds, Sofer Tani wants to ensure that Israel will be at the forefront of this new and exciting technology.
We leverage this opportunity to make Israel leading in the world, in the metaverse, the same as we want to be in AI and in cyber and in any other tech pillar of the startup nation.
Many companies already offer various ways to enter the metaverse. You know, it could be special glasses or whatever. But as we go along, I guess we will see much higher traction by subscribers, by users, by corporates.
From cybersecurity to fintech to AI innovation, Bean said Israel is poised to play a central role in the development of the metaverse.
Counting the building blocks that the metaverse will need in order to succeed. And I'm sure that Israel has a lot to contribute to the world in that. Obviously, not all the solutions, not all the building blocks will come out of here, but for sure a significant portion will be coming from Israel to the world.
There's no doubt that the metaverse is going to change our lives as we know it, and this exciting new future is just around the corner.
The Israeli-based international defense electronics company Elbit is participating in a military exhibition showcasing a wide range of cutting-edge systems and capabilities. Elbit Systems is exhibiting for the first time at the biannual IDEX Defense Exhibition opening this week in Abu Dhabi, with the exhibition presenting a wide variety of security systems and advanced military technologies. The Elbit booth at the exhibition, including a variety of innovative technological solutions, is a response to the future battlefield. Also participating in the exhibition is a subsidiary of Elbit Systems in the Emirates, ESC, working to expand cooperation with local parties and adapt to systemic solutions to operational requirements and customer needs in the region. Some of the exhibits Elbit will be presenting are unmanned aerial systems, rocket and missile systems, training and simulation systems, etc. President and Chief Executive Officer at Elbit Systems, Bezalel Machlis, saying that the Abraham agreements are a solid foundation for business collaborations in this region. We're assured that Elbit's proven experience in creating collaborations with the local industry, along with a wide portfolio of advanced systems, provide a solid infrastructure that provides a response to the challenges and opportunities in these markets. The subsidiary Elbit Emirates Systems works to develop long-term collaborations and adapt technological solutions to the needs and challenges of the countries of the region. 45-year-old Jonathan Shenkin, who served in the Israeli Defense Forces, died while working as a paramedic in the Ukraine war in December. Originally from Glasgow, Shenkin was one of the tens of thousands of people who traveled to Ukraine to join the military's foreign region after Russia invaded Ukraine in February of 2022. Shenkin is the 8th known British citizen to have died since the war began, and his family is now being supported by the United Kingdom's Foreign Office. Shenkin received a Valor in Combat medal for his work as a paramedic in the armed forces of Ukraine. Furthermore, Shenkin was involved in the 2009 rescue of a hostage from Judea and Samaria and ran his own security firm. His brother Daniel revealed that with this firm, Jonathan embarked on 2 tours of Iraq, United Nations military contracts in Afghanistan, and close protection in Somalia, and workers, military medic in Oman, and security detail in Angola. Daniel said that Jonathan had a lifelong passion for Israel and died as a hero in an act of bravery as a paramedic. Jonathan is survived by his son and daughter, to whom he is said to have been very devoted to. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Clear skies expected around the country tonight, with lows this evening averaging 9 degrees Celsius or 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow, alongside sunny skies, we will see top temperatures of 19 degrees Celsius or 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channel, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and do not forget to check out our new and improved website, ILTV.tv, with all of the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Amit Harari. Be well, and thank you so much for watching.